Hello everyone, my name is Jerry Clifford Kalanje and you're watching a special edition of the Hip Hop Hood Report entitled The Innocent Faces of Violence. I'm here today with Stephanie Guerra, the mother of Keron Agard. Your son was attacked in August 18, 2008, fought a long battle for 5 weeks in the hospital and passed away in September 27, 2008. Stephanie, thank you for coming. First of all, give us a background on your son, Keron Agard. What kind of son was he?
He was my only son. His birth name is really Umi, but he didn't like that name. It's an African name which means life. And I used to tell him that he was the opening of my womb. That's a Jewish expression. He was impetuous. He was kind. He was respectful, especially of women. I worked on keeping my son's interest. Of course, he got bored quickly. So for me to get him interested in math, I taught him to bake. So we did fractions, 1/3 and 1/3 and 1/3. And that's how I taught him to bake. And to teach him to read, I used to read to him. And because of the type of work that I did, I'm a baby nurse, so I'd come home tired. He'd read to me. And this continued into his adult life. I raised him alone. His father and we divorced when he was less than 4. So I was the mother and father in his life. So I'd come home from work and my son would say, "Mommy, okay, come lie down and I'd read to you." I think this will shock his friends to know this. And he'll get a book and he'd read to me. As one of Jehovah's Witnesses, I don't celebrate Christmas and birthdays and stuff, but I consciously thought, well, okay, I'm going to teach my son to love and celebrate life. So throughout the year, I would send him a card, thinking of you, I love you, I'm proud of you, or give him a little gift, and it was reciprocated. My son attended FIT High School and then he went on to LaGuardia. Although he majored in business, in the end he was contemplating building greenhouses for low or middle income families. So he had done many of those courses, those AutoCAD courses. Truthfully, my life revolved around my son. Every decision I have made was with my son in mind. Something as simple as what color I'll paint my home. I just always wanted to stimulate his mind. I valued his opinion, and I wanted to teach my son as best as I can to be the type of man that society would embrace, that I would be proud of. It was not about accumulating wealth as much as accumulating honor. I wanted my son to be a man of his word, a dignified young black man.
Can you describe what happened on August 18, 2008?
Well, he was home with me. It was a Monday. He got a phone call. My son left my home at approximately 9:40 p.m. Someone was waiting on him downstairs, and at approximately 11:15 p.m. I got a phone call from the detectives of the 114th precinct telling me that my son was attacked.
Did you know who was waiting for him downstairs exactly?
One of his friends.
Do you know
No.
who it was? Okay.
No.
Right.
So I got dressed, I went to the hospital, and my life changed from that moment. My son was by himself. He was attacked by 3 unknown assailants. He had no defensive wounds. All his vital organs were damaged. He was stabbed 3 times in the head and 3 times in his abdomen. My son lived for 5.5 weeks, and on September 27th, 2008, he died.
When he was at the hospital, did he tell you who was waiting for him downstairs?
Yes, that guy, he claimed, picked him up and dropped him in Astoria, Queens. But when he was attacked, he was by himself.
So he told you flat out he was by himself?
Yes.
His friend wasn't there with him?
Right.
Okay.
When I got the call from the detective, the first question I asked is, was anyone else injured? And the detective clearly stated that it was a robbery and that my son was alone.
Okay. And did he tell you that he knew those people that attacked them?
No, he did not. He did not know them.
So the incident happened on August 18, 2008. And your son was in the hospital for how long?
5.5 weeks.
5.5 weeks. And in the hospital, how was he? How were you feeling at the time?
Well, my son, he was able to talk, and for the most part he was able to walk around, but he sustained life-threatening injuries.
So he was getting better?
Yes. I slept in the hospital, well, because he was all the family that I had. So the support was very limited. I slept in the hospital and I watched my son's life slip away before my eyes. I watched my son, I watched Keron wear a diaper. He had 3 IVs, 1 in either arm and 1 in his neck. And he'd be very embarrassed about it. And I'll put on my game face and I'll cheer him up and I would say, don't worry about it, I got your back, don't worry. And I'll pull the covers up to hide the diaper. And then I'll go outside and cry and then wash my face and come back in like another day, you know, you're still here. And maybe because I was his mother, I never thought he was going to die. I knew it was hard, but I didn't think he was going to die. He was a tough young man, because I always encouraged him to be strong. And I used to tell him, you know, nobody's going to hold your hand through life except me. So my son was a tough person. And I watched my son reduce to being around 7. He would cry. He was constantly on morphine. I'd have to rub his head, and I would sing some of the lullabies I used to sing to him as a baby to get him to sleep. And like I said, I slept in the hospital. When they threw me out of his room, I slept on the benches and I washed up in the bathroom and I prayed to him and I sang to him and I kept telling him to fight. But of course, it didn't work out.